So major question I get all the time is what tools do we use for our Amazon business? Been selling on Amazon starting back in 2012, eventually selling over 2,000 different products, and have used a lot of different softwares over the time. Back when we first started, there was very little in terms of possibilities of what you could even use. Overall, what I tell people in our AMZ Insiders community is only get what you need initially as you build, and then over time, you can try out additional tools, but don't kill yourself with too many tools initially. A common question we get all the time is to compare and contrast around Jungle Scout versus Helium 10, which is an important question because they are two behemoths in the industry. They've grown to companies that are massive. They grew from small companies back in the day that are now very large companies that have huge teams, have a lot of capital behind them, and they are two of the leaders in the industry. So let me take a step back for you guys and give you a little bit of history through my own experience with these two companies. So again, we've been selling a long time, over 2,000 different products, did over $100 million in sales for the first year in 2018. But even before then, we were using tools. And the first tool we actually used between these two, between Jungle Scout and Helium 10, was actually Jungle Scout. So we used the Chrome extension, and we had about 200 people over in China in our team, about 40 people here in Atlanta, Georgia. And what we used specifically was their Chrome extension. So they kind of jumped out with their Chrome extension. I always thought they did a real nice job with that. Back then, what they did was they would charge like a lifetime price. You could buy it one time, pay a fee for it, and have it. They had other tools just like they have now, certainly as well too. But that was kind of the one that I felt like separated them on the market. At the time, actually, we used Viral Launch a lot back at the time. So you had like Casey Gauss, young entrepreneur. So we were using Viral Launch because we were using it to launch our products. Then we had the Jungle Scout piece, right, in terms of the Chrome extension. And so we use that, again, to use kind of competitive analysis, etc. But that was a long time ago. Let's talk about today, right? So those things have evolved and how it's come about. So I'm going to walk through a little bit of a comparison through both of them. But one other step back first is just around the evolution of these two things. So both companies, I think, were led by kind of visionary people in our Amazon space. Manny Coates of Helium 10 came around later. Then Greg Mercer for Jungle Scout. Greg was around earlier, and that's why back, before 2017, it was really them, Viral Launch, a few other tools out there. No dominant player, although I'd say Jungle Scout was the closest thing to it. Greg and I was on his podcast. I think we were doing about 60 million a year then. It might have been 2016 or something like that. And if some of you guys that have been around for a long time, you may remember Jungle Scout was the original that would do the case studies. All right, Helium 10's done them since then, but Jungle Scout would do these case studies about how to sell different products, and it was pretty good. It was pretty impactful. It was pretty smart. And Greg, actually I also remember Greg, he was like a digital nomad. They were running Jungle Scout, and he was all over, traveling all the time during those years as well too. I always liked the interface from it and how it operated. I liked Viral Launch back then. I liked the functionality of Viral Launch better. The interface wasn't as nice and kind of as pretty and easy to use as Jungle Scout. And then I'm just going to speak from my own experience, what I've seen between the two. So again, that's back then. I've ran into Greg, great guy. I've run into him at conferences still. I ran him back into the Amazon event last year. Manny exited the business, Helium 10, now combined with PackView. So there's private equity involved. There's lots of capital involved. And the tools continue to grow. Helium 10, and starting back with Manny and Guy, for those guys, they did a couple things really well because they were kind of outsiders to the industry. And I want to talk about some of those features about now looking at Jungle Scout and Helium 10. So from my perspective, there was a period of time when Jungle Scout, I kind of feel like disappeared from kind of like the everyday seller. And I know they didn't literally disappear, I guess from my own vantage point in terms of the community out there in events, seeing them. I think they had shifted to a strategy kind of to some bigger brands and a different approach with their tools for a while, and which I think they were successful with as well. and now I think they've done both. But I just didn't really see them much in the last couple of years in terms of, let's say, the smaller sellers, the people starting kind of from 0 to $1 million and so forth. But I feel like they were focused more on the larger, real multi-million, brands, $100 million plus brands type things they're out there with some of their tools, I believe, like Cobalt, etc. Whereas Helium 10 has done a really great job of building a huge suite of tools, right? So a lot of people, pricing wise, this goes back to Manny, from the day one, they were building the tools around $90, $100 at the time, and it's varied now over time. They have other plans, but they kept adding more and more tools, and the price never went up for the most part. So you'd get this additional tool they would roll out, and you'd be like, all right, well, now what does it cost? Well, it's still about $90, next tool. So that really, I felt like, separated them back in the day, and they've only gotten stronger and stronger over the years. If I was going to compare, comparing Jungle Scout versus Helium 10, again, both strong tools, huge teams. I strongly prefer Helium 10 because of the suite of tools that are available and the sophistication of the tools that are available to you. So specifically, Helium 10 has Black Box, has Cerebro, X-Ray, has over 20 tools involved with it. But Cerebro was a game changer back, continues to be an awesome tool that gives you that reverse ASIN lookup and the ability to really check out your competitors and measure kind of where you got to get to start competing on page one. X-Ray is great to look at your competitors. I would say similar to Jungle Scout's tool. And again, I think Jungle Scout was kind of the leader from my perspective of the Chrome extensions, but X-Ray is, I would say, equally as effective on that set. And then Black Box is the tool to really break it down and research products and find huge opportunities based on keyword research, not just products themselves, but keyword research as well too. Jungle Scout has their Keyword Scout and their product tracker. Again, I think both solid tools. I've used them in the past. We've shifted so much over to Helium 10, so I have a hard time describing that, any details around in terms of why we would use Jungle Scout, just because the breadth of tools with Helium 10, I think, has just separated it from Jungle Scout in that way. Other thing with Jungle Scout in terms of pricing compared to Helium 10, they're both they have kind of similar pricing strategies, a little bit different. Jungle Scout's slightly cheaper. I think that as far as the main plan, I think will get you around maybe around $85. And Helium 10, the main plan, will be in the 90s. It's like under $100. So those are the main plans that people are going to use. People in our community mostly use that plan for Helium 10. The 90, I think it's $99. Often you can get 20% off and get that down a little bit lower. So depending if you're using it like an affiliate link, you probably are going to pay around 80, 70, maybe even a little bit less at times, but again, around $100. So Jungle Scout a little bit cheaper, but again, the breadth of the tools of Helium 10 makes it, I think, kind of a no-brainer on that side of things. The other thing I would say, there's different pricing points. Both have multiple plans. So Helium 10 has like a free plan for just a little bit of taste. Again, the main plan is $99. There's also increasing plans for a couple $100, and then the diamond plan and so forth that will get you up to, I think, around $300, even $400 a month for some higher level stuff, including some of their kind of mastermind access as well too. The other things I think is always important is community, customer service community. I think both are strong customer support historically. When I've leveraged both teams, I think are pretty equal there. But the differentiator I'd say with Helium 10 is the community side. Helium 10, I think, has really, really done strong here over the last bunch of years. Again, back in the day, Jungle Scout did pretty strong with this, with their case studies and everything. But Helium 10's built a massive Facebook group. At events, they've run huge events. They did the Sell and Scale event, but they're super prominent at all their events. They're really strong with their affiliate network to support their affiliates out there, to be in communication, to come on and do trainings in your community. So they'll actually come into our AMZ Insiders community and contribute and do training directly with our team as well too, on a very frequent basis. So that is a total game changer for all of our community members, and to really help people understand how to use the tool and to make it work for them and grow their business. So that's my comparison for Jungle Scout and Helium 10. Again, two behemoths in the industry. but Helium 10 has done a really great job especially the last couple years, continuing to separate itself and grow. And I encourage you guys to check it out. If you're interested in checking out Helium 10, you can check out our link below there for a 20% off. You can go to amzproductspotter.com. That will take you to Helium 10, and you can get 20% off to access the tool. But again, of course, do the homework for yourself. Again, my recommendation is you don't need tons of different tools, which I think is what both these companies, but particularly Helium 10, has done a great job of creating so many solutions in one tool. So you're not out buying 10, 50, bunch of different software tools and it's eating away in your margins. But again, if I had to get one tool I recommend, definitely Helium 10. So check out the link below, and I hope that helps.